before I start eviscerating the lifeless cadaver that is Kraven the Hunter, I would like to take a moment of silence for the Sony Spider-Man villain spinoffs, to reminisce on fond memories that I've had reviewing movies such as the repugnant Venom trilogy, Morbius, the internet meme that aged like 2% milk, and who can forget the beloved classic Madam Web. They were moments in time that I won't forget, and I will always remember them for their ineptitude and the views that they've given me on YouTube. May they rest in peace. Well, that was fun. Anyway, now look, I'm not going to pretend I know anything remotely about Kraven the Hunter, aside from the fact that he's one of Spider-Man's most feared adversaries in the comics. Known as Sergei Kravenov, he's a big game hunter with a code of honor who treats his enemies as equals in a fair fight, and a relentless weapons specialist with a personal motivation to become the world's greatest huntsman by capturing Spider-Man. Sony has tried many times, like a lot of Spider-Man spin-offs just so they can maintain the license, to put Kraven onto the big screen since the cancellation of Sam Raimi's 4th Spider-Man film. And with it now being filmed, edited, rewritten, and set to be released, even that took a long while to become a reality. This movie was delayed a grand total of 4 times, affecting the budget going from $20 to $40 million higher than the original budget. It was originally supposed to be released on January 2023, which, you know, is fitting for a movie like this. Then on October 6th, it took over an entire year to be released, because of the Screen Actors Guild strike. It found its release date on August 2024 and was finally pushed back to the middle of December, just so they can avoid some intense rated R competition like The Crow remake, Borderlands, and Alien Romulus. Man, that lineup is scary. Totally logical idea to set this in Christmas time. Because I don't know about you, but when I think of a movie that fills my heart up with a Christmas spirit, I think of Kraven the Hunter. But let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's watching this movie for the weekends, or for the holidays, or for any reason. I mean, you can sit down with your family having a vegan Thanksgiving dinner while the football game streaming on Netflix buffers every 2 seconds as your socialist cousin rambles on about how poetry is the future, and it still would be more entertaining than this boring diuretic discharge. Washing your restaurant's floor with dental floss is more fun than watching Kraven the Hunter. I predicted it way back in my Madam Web review, or my Venom 3 review, and by the ghosts of Nostradamus, I called it. Though I don't think any of you guys care when I make that statement, but in all seriousness, aside from it being yawn-inducing as sin, the movie in its entirety is an egregious failure on all possible dimensions. So, for you guys loving to hunt for bad movies, we got a live one. Sergei Kravenov is the son of a Russian drug trafficking crime lord played by Russell Crowe, who brings him and his brother, Dmitri, on a hunting trip to the African savannah, just so they can get over the loss of their mother. One day, a lion as big as Aslan pops from the bushes, and after a blind moment of sheer stupidity from Sergei's father, the lion attacks Sergei and is mortally wounded in the process. However, Sergei's life was saved by a young voodoo priestess named Calypso, who offers him a magic potion that gives him superhuman animalistic powers by sheer coincidence, with the combination of lion's blood after the attack. Bear with me. 16 years later, after working alone as a mercenary hunting vigilante, he returns to meet his brother in London for a birthday celebration, until he realizes that he's been kidnapped by enforcers working for the Rhino, a mercenary rejected by Sergei's father, and is planning to take revenge on the entire Kravenov family. So it's up to Sergei, with the assistance of his partner Calypso, to scour for his brother's whereabouts and kill the Rhino. Okay, the good, The fact that you listened to the theme for The Hunt for Red October on the opening 8 minutes. And guess what? The opening 8 minutes are on YouTube right now for your viewing curiosity. Or you can just be rational and just listen to the theme by itself on YouTube or Spotify. Save yourself some money. In fact, you know what? Go watch The Hunt for Red October. It's actually a really good movie. On a less artificial point. Aaron Taylor Johnson is trying all he can to portray the character of Sergei Kravenov. I respect the commitment he put into the role, whether it be for fitness or putting forth the effort to give his character personality and presence, that of an 80s or 90s action hero. But the film weighs his performance down because of an awful script. Much like his Sony predecessors before, it disregards the concept of Kraven being a villainous hunter or a complicated anti-hero in exchange for him being a do-gooder bounty hunter by assassinating people he doesn't like, such as poachers, bounty hunters, and other bad guys, and lives by an ethical code. It's as if these villains would only work if Spider-Man were in them. No, I guess that's too much work. I mean, movies are hard to make after all. Speaking of which, the plotting from Art Markham and Matt Holloway is convoluted, sporadic, and amnesiac. Kraven is all over the place as a narrative that he can't even figure out what the main central plot thread of the story is. Is it a John Wick plotline where Kraven is hunting down targets and checking off his list? Is it about Kraven serving the family name and stopping those trying to usurp the father? Is this a movie about protecting wildlife while spreading messages about poachers and ivory hunters? Is it a villain origin story? Is it the combination of the lot? Well, I can't say it attempts to do all those things because Kraven the Hunter doesn't have enough care to put that amount of creativity into their own movie. The most dastardly part is that it takes the simple premise of a hunter assassinating those he doesn't like or wants to get revenge on and stretches that concept out to 2 hours. And a good chunk of it is dedicated to this drawn-out backstory of Sergei as a teenager, as it explains, and doesn't explain enough, how he got his powers, where the potion came from. Is there something special about the lion, just like the spider that bit Peter Parker, giving him his powers? Why he has daddy issues, and why he wants to protect animals from poachers. I know a majority of you are not gonna go see the movie, you're just here to watch this review, but I gotta spoil something. The big twist as to why the Rhino kidnapped Sergei's brother is the fact that Sergei's father was the one to initiate the entire kidnapping plot as a way for Kraven, or both of his brothers, to eliminate his competition, being the Rhino. When you look back at the movie while you're watching it, which by the way you shouldn't by any means, the more you realize just how stupid and convoluted his plan is. There are several moments in this movie to where it involves the Rhino and the secondary villain of the movie being the Foreigner, in which he manipulates time and phases around just so we can shoot down those who threaten him. Had any of them had a brain cell and stopped drinking glue out of a shot glass, Kraven would have died and his father's criminal empire would have been Rhinos for the taking. Oh great, now we have to talk about the acting. Jesus. A good chunk of the performances are either over the top or are so phoned in that they're just collecting a paycheck. Ariana DeBose and Russell freaking Crowe, Maximus Decimus Meridius himself, perform the roles in a way that every time they say a line, it's like they're thinking to themselves, come on, just get this right, the exit sign is right there. Let's get this line done so we can hit that plane ride to Tijuana. Russell Crowe is essentially going through the motions in a faux Russian accent like, in Soviet Russia, drink what is you. And DeBose looks uncomfortable and her entire role given to her is pretty pointless in the grand scale of things. With Alessandro Nivola as the Rhino, I don't know what the directors were trying to do with him, but if this was Alessandro's decision to hand the character up, then good on him. At least he's trying to put life into this movie. But the character writing, dear Lord. The Rhino's descent into villainy shares something in common with Guy Pearce in Iron Man 3 and Jamie Foxx in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's where we have to foreshadow this villain by making him look like a pathetic dweeb with glasses on and an Anton Chigurh haircut that aspires to be allied alongside his inspiration, only to become evil once his inspiration is a jerk to him and denies his partnership. It's the movie going, hey, let's make a villain. Otherwise, we don't have a movie. And once he transforms into the accurate version of the Rhino, words can't even begin to describe his texture quality, his composition, in his overall design. It's laughably horrendous alongside every other computer-generated animal and green screen backlot shot. It doesn't make things any better, especially with the dialogue that is so underwritten that it can't even attempt to explain how he got his powers, aside from mentioning a reference in the comics, and they are never brought up or explained again. Oh yeah, the dialogue? Vomit. Absolute vomit. Other than whopping loads of exposition, you would hear lines of dialogue that boggle the freaking mind. Because the film is trying so desperate to make these one-liners land like a classic 80s, 90s action film would. And the fact that there are so many lines in this film that don't make any sense. My grandmother died when I was little, and I never saw her again. Duh? You Kraven the Hunter? Nah, I just prefer Kraven. With a K. Of course! It would start with a K. It's the first letter of your last name. Who wrote this? Oh, that's right. The guys who wrote Transformers: The Last Night and Uncharted. The action scenes are awkwardly staged, poorly formulated, and about as tame as you can get with the violence. You remember my Crow remake review where the only reason why the film was rated R was because of the fact that the original was too, and it tries every opportunity to make it look so gory and edgy as humanly possible? Why would the film be rated R aside from a few people getting stabbed and Kraven biting the nose off of a guy? This is the kind of R rating that you would find in an unrated Blu-ray for a PG-13 action movie. Like, that's how bad it is. And good luck with trying to make sense of the action scenes because the editing doesn't make things any better. Not because there's too many close-up shots to where you can't tell what's going on, or there's way too many shaky cams. It's because the editing chops scenes in a way that make no semblance of sense of what is going on in the movie, or the fact that it's an isolated scene that doesn't lead into the next. Example, Kraven the Hunter is escaping from a maximum security prison in Russia, and the guards are shooting at him trying to escape, missing of course. In the very next scene, Kraven is in the middle of the Russian Arctic next to a snowstorm of Fury Road proportions where his evac just so happens to be in, freezing her tail off. And many of the shots that you saw in the trailer that you expected to be in the movie are actually not in it. Oh, Sony, you're doing us so proud with your false advertising. The wolves killing the prison guards in the snowstorm, that's not in the movie. Kraven donning the outfit and going on adventures in the wilderness, well, the rest is not in the movie, but Kraven doesn't put on his iconic comics accurate outfit until the very end of the movie. By that I mean, the minute he puts it on, it cuts to credits. That is not a lie. So yeah, there's really nothing else to say about Kraven the Hunter other than it's one of the worst movies of the year. This movie is like a chicken being next in line for the slaughter and was then glazed and fried up and given to a family for a Christmas dinner, only for the chicken to develop moss and rot as time goes on, and then the family got botulism and died. With constant failure after another, Sony's back is up against the wall, and if they don't make something fast while trying to hold on to that Spider-Man license, we might see if the MCU or Disney could handle what Sony couldn't. Though being in Phase 5 and heading towards Phase 6, it's pretty unlikely that's going to be the case. My name is Luke Nukem, with an L and with an N. And you, my friends, have been blown away.